Welcome to Copycat Friday, guys. My name is Jordy for Cinecom.net, and today we're taking a look at those superhero films. You know, those iconic blockbuster films? They all have their own story and characters, but there's one thing they all have a little bit in common, and that is the color grading. Superhero films mostly have deep blacks, hard contrasts, and vibrant colors. That gives them that hard, blockbuster look. We'll be using Adobe Premiere Pro today to show you guys how we've color graded the cheap knockoff from Batman you saw in the beginning. But we're not focusing on the props, we're focusing on the color grading here. Now before we start, I'd first like to thank Rocket Stock who's making this video possible. They came out with a brand new video pack called Prism. It's a collection of 200 video transitions and 9 different styles. You can simply drag them into your favorite video editor and apply them over 2 clips. To find out more, make sure to visit the first link in the description below. We are inside Adobe Premiere Pro, and I have James Doubleganger here with me. What I'll do is locate the Luma Tree panel, and you can do so from the window menu on top. Now, this shot was captured in V-Log on the GH5. It's a very flat picture profile, but it's taking the most out of the camera's sensor, which means that its flat image profile holds a lot of information. So if your camera can shoot in a log format, I definitely suggest to experiment with that. So as the first step, I'm going to apply a V-Log 2 Rec 709 LUT to it. You can find the type of LUT for your camera specific on Google. If you don't shoot flat, you can skip this part. Then I'm going to head over to the color wheels, and there's this thing called teal and orange. Looking at the color wheel, you can find teal on one side and orange on the exact opposite side. And because they're opposite of each other, we can say that they are in contrast of each other. And knowing that, we can use these 2 colors to add more contrast to our shots without having to actually add more contrast. Now, blue or teal is what we link to darkness, shadows, the night, something cold. So that's why we'll add some teal into the shadows or darker areas of our shot. Now be careful though that you're not pulling too much into the magentas. Look at your video while doing this. Now for the midtones, which is usually the face of a person, we're going to add the orange into it. Adding orange to the skin tones make them look warm, natural, our eyes are drawn to it. So with this simple technique, we have already created more punch into our shot. Next up, I'm going to dive into the Creative tab, and what I sometimes do is flip through the built-in looks. There are some film emulators in here, but also different types of modifiers. What I found to work well with the teal and orange look was the SL Gold Heat. It adds a nice overall contrast and emphasizes that teal and orange very well. Now, depending on your shot, you can increase or decrease the intensity of this look. Now, we're almost there. I'm going to dive into the basic color correction now. What I want to do in here is fix the issues, and that's why this tab is called Correction, to correct the problems. Assuming you had a good white balance, you can stay off from these sliders right here, but underneath that, I want to look at the highlights. Typically, I want to decrease this. It kind of flattens the image by taking that video look away. However, this does make your highlights look very smushy. Definitely the overexposure parts, like the LED light in the back. So what I'll do next is increase the whites a tiny bit. These are the absolute whites in your shots. Highlights lay underneath that. This is the difference between them two. Now, if you have shot in a dark environment, keep your shot dark. Don't start increasing that exposure, you'll just introduce more noise. Keep it dark and play with the highlight slider. And finally, I would decrease the blacks. And these are the most outer black areas in your shot. It brings in some more contrast. Do, however, just decrease this property a tiny bit. And that's how to color grade to the superhero extreme. Next up, I want to copy my Luma Tree effect from the effects controls and paste it into my next shot. What I'll do now is compare them and try to match the levels. In the second shot, we have this big light, so I want to decrease the highlights even more. I'm paying attention to my face, that the light is not overexposing me. The first shot was also a lot darker, so I'm going to decrease the shadows a little bit. I'm not touching the exposure as that will change everything in my shot. My highlights look good, so I want to stay off from that. The shadows are a little bit brighter than the blacks, so they change a bit more from the overall shot. Now to give the whole thing an extra touch, I'm going to create a new adjustment layer from the item button in your projects panel. Drag that over to your edit and head to the effects library. Here I search for crop and drag that effect to the adjustment layer. From the effects controls, I set the top and the bottom crop to 15%. And this will give you that fake CinemaScope effect. The great thing about doing this with an adjustment layer is so that you can reposition your clips below if you would cut off something off your frame. You could always go back into your crop effect and change the crop value later on as well. So that was how to color grade a cheap knockoff from a Batman scene, oh boy. But Janek at least almost looked like the real Batman. I'd say we nailed it. Thank you guys for watching, and as always, stay creative. So I asked Janek to go to his shop to get a Batman costume. This is what he came back with. I am Batman. No, you're doofus. Good, look at this. I'm trying to make a serious Batman recreation.